Cassidy.
Hey, thanks for coming in. I enjoyed our meeting in my office. In February, I had an exchange with the acting commissioner on identity theft and protection of taxpayer data. My identity was stolen once, and it still has implications in terms of how we file and when we receive our dollars back. So the trends look good. Significant reductions in ID theft since 2015. There are 1.4 million fraudulent returns in 2015, about 600,000 this year. But what thoughts do you have as to how we can move that 600,000, which cost us billions of dollars in fraudulent returns, down towards zero?
I'm proud of the fact that the Internal Revenue Service has made a dent in the identity theft, and I share your concern that 600,000 would still be too much, that any identity theft is still too much. There are issues with respect to the timing of certain functions in the Internal Revenue Service, that if the IRS was allowed more time, they could prevent more ID theft and situations like that. And so if confirmed, I would look forward to working with you in that regard.
I will point out that I'm told that my stolen return did not note that I had 3 children, which formerly I had 3.
Yeah.
And so you could have checked the obits to see if something had happened. But it does seem as if integration with the Social Security Fund or something could have revealed that sort of simple thing.
There's tremendous pressure on the Internal Revenue Service to issue refunds, and I believe that that's part of the issue to be dealt with. And I share the concern that any identity theft related to the Internal Revenue Service is...
Congress is considering some IRS administrative reforms that would improve this. Let me give you some ideas, see what you think of it. Designating a single point of contact at the IRS where an ID theft victim could call, notifying taxpayers when ID theft is suspected, and updating on criminal prosecution. I like to know that this isn't just, oh my gosh, it's just happening and we don't care. And then expansion of the ID protection PIN program. Any thoughts on those?
The single point of contact, I think, is critical because it's confusing for people who've suffered ID theft. You know, there's multiple gates, multiple doors to get into, and so I think a single point of contact would be significant. The criminal investigation issues, I think that a significant part of criminal investigations function within the Internal Revenue Service is deterrence. And so making people who might consider going down that road in terms of ID theft, make them aware of the fact that they could be looking at a significant prison sentence, I think is critical.
But it's also because if somebody I know stole my ID, then frankly, that's going to get out in my community.
Correct.
And so the kind of, and presumably somebody I know stole my ID. It could have been somebody who logged on and got my info. But the degree that it's, but anyway, just to kind of reverberate. And the ID protection PIN program?
The PIN program, I think, is critical, and I understand that there's even contemplation of maybe, you know, an issuance of different Social Security numbers and other things associated with that, even beyond the PIN. Most of us don't want to have, we can remember a Social Security number, we might not remember a PIN code as we go to the future. And even getting into government buildings, you know, when you're asked for the last 4 of your social, sometimes most of us have to start at the beginning to get to the last 4. And so I think the possibility of issuing new Social Security numbers to people who have incurred that might also generate some respect by the victim for the fact that the government stands with them.
The Treasury, let me talk about the return review program, again, to improve fraud detection. It's been implemented in recent years, appears to be a significant improvement over the old system. A Treasury IG for Tax Administration report from September 17 noted the IRS may not meet its December 18 target for retiring the legacy syndrome. Legacy system. Again, I've had an unflagged fraudulent return. How could you prioritize full implementation of the new system?
Being on the outside, I'm not personally familiar with the system, but it would be a high priority for me, if confirmed, to look into it and to work with you and the rest of the committee.
Okay. The IRS has undertaken an information sharing pilot program to reduce fraud and ID theft. I understand 24 states participated in 2017. It seems reasonable to expand that. Again, your views on that, you probably are familiar with this.
I'm an advocate of information sharing with other similar state agencies. I think that that's critical to the moving forward.
No parochialism there, if you will. Lastly, I'll say that I'm pleased to see the IRS has improved customer service, but still I think 1 in 5 people calling never get their phone call answered. What can we do to improve that?
I believe it's critical that for the respect of the agency and to earn the trust of the American taxpayer that when they call the IRS, they receive somebody answers the phone in a timely manner.
Seems pretty basic, huh? Any ideas on how to improve, or more manpower, womanpower, or?
I'm aware of other states that have the ability to, when you call in, you actually get a recording and it says, if you know, the hold time is 17 minutes. If you would leave your number, you know, we'll call you back in 3 minutes, as well as private industry tends to do that routinely. And I think that it would be, if that's possible on the scale of the Internal Revenue Service, that type of a system would be significant. And I think it, not only in terms of getting the person off the phone so they're not on hold, but the respect for the agency, to make them the 21st century agency as though the private sector operates the same. That's what the taxpayers are used to. Mm-hmm. They're used to calling a private sector entity and getting a 3-minute hold, leave your number, and they'll call you back. And I would like to see the IRS, working with the committee, I would like to see the IRS get to that level.
That'll be great. Thank you very much.